Hey everybody, how we doing? Mark Wayner with Champions Real Estate Team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company, here with you doing our Talking Real Estate live segment every Wednesday at noon here. We got Russ Williams as always joining us from Arbor Bank. So our goal here today and every Wednesday is just kind of give you a quick rundown of what the real estate market's done over the last week. And Russ kind of keeps us up to date on what's going on in the mortgage industry. I think we got our next week. This is our last week before the big election. So we'll kind of touch on that a little bit from an interest rate standpoint, from a housing standpoint. But let's jump right into kind of a regular diagram that we have here of what happened over the last week. So we have new listings this last week at 373 new listings. New contracts written was about 308. And then sold homes, basically that's indicative of what the market was doing about 60 days ago, plus or minus on that. So obviously pretty active in that 529. Last week we had 610 sold houses. Pending, we had about 340, so just a little bit less. So that's what we've been seeing. Contracts written is kind of about that 300, 350 kind of ballpark. I think with the weather got a little colder this last week, so I think some people kind of stayed inside a little bit. And then when we look at the new listings, previous week we had 521 new listings, and now we're down to 373, which is kind of indicative, with that cold weather coming in. Snow on the ground and things like that. Maybe people may have delayed their pictures and stuff like that to maybe push it back a week with regards to that. So I think all said and done, we are still very active in the marketplace. I'll share another screen, our trend graphics report here. It's kind of a good statistics here that I look at a lot. So these today's statistics for basically what was happening, 1 month or 1 year ago this month. We're still down in inventory, which is very common, what we've been seeing the last couple of years. But the number I take a look at here is just 10.1%. That is the contracts written. That is basically what the activity of the market is doing and what the buyers are writing contracts. So those are contracts written. We're up 10%, from this time last year. And most of the time, and I think I've talked about this in weeks past, is that, typically in an election year, most people kind of sit on the sidelines and wait to see what's going to happen. But this is basically telling us the contrary, that we are up, 10% more than what we were last year at this time, obviously in a non-election year. So, like as we touched on at the beginning of this video, is what we're seeing is that, is the election really playing that much toll in the activity in the housing market? I don't think so. I think the buyer and the pent-up demand, in the cost of with the interest rates being so low and the cost of money being very cheap, buyers are still out there and actively looking. So that's one thing that I think we have a very strong housing market here in Omaha. We don't see huge swings, and I think what we're seeing, and we touched on before, is that you got one in, one out. Once it comes on the market, boom, it goes off the market. So, we're hovering right around, I think active listings we had when I checked this morning, about 2,072. Existing homes on the market are 1,300. New construction is 700. So that gives us our total of that 2,000 market. So, in Douglas, Sarpy County, the existing market, we're only at 665 homes. That's from, the houses that are, $10,000, $15,000, $30,000 all the way up to $1 million homes. So there's not very much inventory, but basically once they're coming on and going off, that's what we're seeing in that regard. So good news is we have 2 new Champions Real Estate Team listings going active. One's going active tomorrow with Jeff Peterson, and one's going active on Friday with myself. The one I'm listing is going to be in Harrison Park. It's a ranch, just about over 2,000 square feet. And then Jeff has one in Western Oaks off 161st and Harrison. So check out our Facebook page. Tomorrow we'll have those, the one for Jeff launched out there to the world. So it'll be over about $300,000, 2-story, just a couple of blocks up from the school there in Western Oaks off 161st and Harrison. And then we got our new listing, ranch listing, walkout. Off 192nd and Harrison Park. So let's jump on with Russ and touch base with him and see what's going on in the mortgage industry. So how are we doing, Russ?
Not too bad. One more week until the election, huh?
Yeah, right. So
yeah, a lot of times I've been originating home loans for a couple of decades, and every election year when we get inside of a month, I wouldn't say there's paralysis, but people start to pull back a little bit, wondering what's going to happen with finance rates. And it's kind of hard to say what will happen, but I'll give you a little bit of a history of what we have seen happen. Rates to this point in time have been very stable, really, since the COVID environment started, and they continue to be stable today. If we look at the most recent presidential election, of course, even going into the night of the election, it was not expected that the winner was going to win. And so that was a bit of a surprise to the market. In many cases, the market will have already priced in who they think is going to win. We'll have to guess who that is. In 2016, the most recent presidential election, we did see interest rates rise in the short term. And that was because of that surprise of who ultimately did win the White House. Go back to 2012, there was very little movement. Of course, that was a re-election. So in a re-election, status quo. Before that, rates went down a little bit from 2008, from the 2008 shortly thereafter. And then in 2004, they really didn't move much. They moved maybe less than 0.1%. So the expectation is that that probably they aren't going to move very much. But if they do move, the likelihood of them moving up is going to be far greater than them moving down, which is why I'd encourage you, if you have not already bought, if you've not already refinanced, do it and eliminate the risk of the election. This is still a great time to buy a house. Mark and his team would be thrilled to take you out and show you homes, even on election day, so you don't have to watch on the news. But I don't expect we're going to see too much movement. I just hope that we have a peaceful election. That might be the only thing that might move the market, is if we do have a lot of turmoil.
Yeah. And I think even at 4% interest rate, going from 3 to 4, you do lose 10% of your purchasing power, as that market goes up. But still 4%, I think over the 40-year average, it's about 6.5 to 7%. So, I mean, we're still well below what the average interest rates are. I know when I bought my house in 2007, my first home, it was like a 6.125 interest rate, then it dropped to 4. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like free money. And now we're, 2.9. I had a recent client get a 2.5% interest rate, and things like that. So, I mean, obviously market fluctuate, but it's kind of, you can lock in that money for 30 years, and that's something that, even if you're thinking about getting in the investment, real estate investments and rental properties, that's huge, and you can turn around and utilize that equity, to buy your next income property. So,
yeah. If President Trump, for example, were to hold the White House, I don't think rates would move much. If we happen to see it go the other way, and we had former Vice President Biden win the White House, just based upon some things that he has suggested, this might be a great time for you to look at real estate as an investment vehicle. There are lots of ways to do that. There have been discussions of maybe some changes in how retirement accounts are handled, which would make other alternative types of investment more attractive that maybe you don't know as much about. So this is a good time to reach out to Mark and his team to better understand real estate investing, how you can protect yourself. And the most common thing I hear is, well, I'm afraid of headaches and have to deal with tenants and whatnot. Well, this team can help direct you to how to avoid some of that. So either way, I think it's a great time. I'm still extremely bullish on real estate, as you should be as well. Our entire economic system is based upon housing and construction. So we're not changing away from that. That's what drives our economy, is housing. So stay bullish on it.
Yep. As we talked about, I think for every real estate transaction, it puts about, I think in Nebraska, I think I just saw that it puts about $29,000 back into the economy. And that's just a new house, new people, the pizza guy that's delivering, your Grubhub people that are delivering to your house, all that stuff that the Lowe's and going to all those other places that puts that money back in the economy. So, from that aspect, I know you touched on like investments, the real estate market for the most part, it ebbs and flows, but it doesn't have those huge peaks and valleys, which you may get in the stock market. Have something that you can touch and feel and see and hang on to it for a long time. And overall, we did that renting versus buying seminar, and it was just one of those things that, over time that asset's going to go up. On average about 4 to 5%, but you're gaining that equity and that asset and paying it down as well. So that's just something you can take advantage of, and it's going to pay you that passive income stream. So, but yeah. So as we wrap up here, appreciate everyone taking checking us out. I'll also share here our. If you have any questions, you can jump on our championsrealestateteam.com website. Check out all the active listings. We have sold searches. You can keep up to date on what the market's doing. We also have our home buyer guide and home seller guide here that you can just click and download. That's free. You can jump on there and take a look at that. So, I mean, I know now is the time of year. A lot of people are kind of thinking about, I'm going to buy a house in the spring. Well, get out there before everybody else does and every other buyer decides they want to buy, step foot in March. now you're competing with more people. So, if you're thinking about it, get in touch with us here at Champions Real Estate Team. Give me a holler, message me on Facebook, or give me a holler 402-672-7670. I'm happy to help and coach you along the way, and make sure that you're educated on what you're looking for, when you're buying or even selling a home. So, and then Russ can help you out with the financing side. That's why we surround ourselves with people. We may not have all the answers, but we know the people that do, and we'll put you in contact with those people. So Russ, once again, I appreciate you jumping on here with me, and until next week, have a great Halloween, everybody. And I actually
be sure to vote.
Yep. Get out there and vote. And we'll see you next Wednesday, and we'll kind of touch base on everything that's going on. So appreciate it, and thank you.